Hi, this is Misha, and a question that's been asked a couple of times is, which would we prefer? The Taiwanese T91 or the German HK MR556A1. And since an MR556 was available, we went out and shot both. And Jay and I both have had some trigger time in the past with the MR556, not this specific one, but a different one. And as you know, we've had trigger time with a couple of T91s. Now this is a German MR556A1. It's a mix of US and German parts, both by HK. We've got a 16.5-inch heavy profile barrel. Now the previous owner put a silencer co 3-prong muzzle device on, but it just takes standard 1/2 by 28 and comes with an A1. This is a pretty heavy wall barrel. We have a 6-position adjustable stock. It does have a storage compartment inside. We have an ergonomic pistol grip, also some storage. We have an ambidextrous safety. Sitting on this side here. Typical port door, typical forward assist. We have an extended latch charging handle. As you see, we have a monolithic top rail, although this is actually 2 sections very neatly dovetailed together. This piece is 1 unit. Feeds from standard, or at least most standard. There are a few caveats. AR mags. This is an HK steel mag that these come with. Some mag pulls it does not accept. Has an extra heavy buffer in here. And it uses a modified AR18-AR18 short stroke gas piston. Otherwise it has an AR15 style rotating bolt. And that's why it's good to compare to the T91. This is a Wolf A1 upper on a Nodak A1 lower. The upper is Taiwanese, the lower is American. The barrel is 14.5 inches with a relatively light profile, especially out front of the gas block. We have an offset flash hider here. This is the original one. See, it's flat on the bottom. It's offset to the right to compensate for recoil. This is also threaded 1/2 by 28, but in this instance, to make it legal, this is permanently attached. We have a removable front sight base with protectors on this block here. We have kind of typical handguards with heat shields. They do have holes in the top for attaching a rail, but otherwise they're just pretty standard kind of A1-ish handguards. We have an A4 style carry handle with rear sights, adjustable here. This is a pick rail, this is a typical short. Have a dust cover, but this is more of an A1 style. We don't have the big forward assist. We don't have the brass deflector or the forward assist, it's just smooth. We have a 3-position stock, kind of patterned after the Car 15, no storage on this. It does have a heavy buffer inside. We have another ergonomic pistol grip. It does have storage inside the grip though. Just a standard selector, it's not ambi. And this too feeds from standard AR-15 mags because it's on a Nodak. And this too has an AR-18-AR18 gas piston, which is why these are a good comparison. So, We went out and shot them, and which do we prefer? The Wolf, which the upper is about $500, and if you do Nodak lower, you're about $150. Let's say it would cost about $750 to $800 to get this built up. You know, you can use whatever stock you want, but. Or do we prefer the HK, which is about $2,300, $2,400 these days? But of course it comes good to go out of the box. HK lower already comes. The original ones had HK iron sights. Now they come with these Troy flip sights. The original sights were non-folding. Come on, quit that. There we go. And of course we already have our stock and all that. We prefer the T91. Not only is it at least a third the price, even more, it's quite a bit lighter. As you see it here with the mag, it weighs about 7 pounds 4 ounces. Not bad at all for a gas piston AR. Compared with this here HK, which weighs 9 pounds 2 ounces on my postal scale. There's a little bit of a margin of error by an ounce or two, but this is about 2 pounds heavier. Most of that having to do with this really heavy barrel and quad rail. We also found that this HK, and you can see in the shooting clip, has a little more flip and jitter to it while shooting. Now part of it was this was just unadorned quad rail and I couldn't really get a super great grip without digging into my hands, so part of it's on me, I admit that. But I've shot again a number of these on bipods and other things, whereas this just has typical handguards that are nice and easy to grip. So we found that the T91 was just more pleasant, less recoil to shoot. Kind of interesting. But that's not all. Disassembly has a lot to do with it as well. So disassembly, the HK. Let's first eject our mag. Simply, guys, check this. I mean, it is a nice smooth bolt. So how do we disassemble this? Well, first off, if we want to get to our gas system, to our gas piston, which is the most common thing we'll want to get to on a piston gun, you need to use the provided multi-tool or any other Allen wrench. They do have a version of this more in the 416 where it takes a flat head, but the civilian takes an Allen wrench. Pull that off. It is captive, so you're not going to lose your pin. And then this, theoretically, slides forward. As you see, it is a nice tight fit, so not knocking it for that. Here's our gas piston. As you see, this is a pretty beefy barrel. This is heavier than a 416 would normally have. Now, of course, on a normal AR, we would just push our push pins and that would be that. But again, HK has a nice little surprise. These have little retainers in them. So we need to use a different edge to our tool here. Get one of the smaller ones. You can also use a bullet tip. And there's also a provided tool in the buttstock. But I'm going to use one of these just because it's easier right now. So we have to, and it's the same for the front and the back. There's a little hole. Push it in. And this one might be a little too big. Let me see if I can get it, guys. Yeah, let me get the smaller one. Now you see. That's kind of what I was getting at. I was trying to use the fattest one I could, not to bend anything. But you need a pretty small thing to push this through. Push it in, and there it goes. Still a captive pin. Now we can open her up. And now we pretty much disassemble like a standard AR. If we want to get to our gas piston, it's pretty standard here. You just need to pull it back. Get this here, guys. Bloop. And that is our disassembled gun, at least for field strip. So we need a tool. What about the T91? Well, again, take our mag out. That's a Colt mag, guys, but the standard mag is the same, and it's locked up right now. We don't need to remove our handguards, although we can. There is a push pin here. All we need to do to take our gas system out here is rotate this 180 degrees. We rotate this, and our whole gas system comes out as a neat little packet. It even has a hole in the end in case it's fouled up and you have a hard time manipulating it. And for our lower, we have typical push pins, because again, it's a Nodak lower, so I've got to be fair there. But even the military one just has standard pins. Being Nodak, they do fit a little tight, and since this has the anti-tilt buffer in it, we need to take the front pin off, as well as the, put this in my lap. Sometimes I need a bigger table, folks. There we go. And our bolt groove comes out. Let me show you that anti-tilt. It's kind of neat. See here where it engages? This engages our carrier to keep it from, well, tilting. There is that. From this point on, we have a very typical carrier. AR-15 style. Notice there's no cuts, of course, for the forward assist because we don't need it. This gas key is technically part of the carrier, and that's all pretty standard. Notice it's tapered in the back for that anti-tilt to lock with. Pretty neat. Of course, it just goes back in. And we'll look at our HK carrier. Where did I lay that? There it is. We're pretty similar. This is spring loaded though. It also has a firing pin safety here. This needs to be pushed up before you can hit the firing pin. But pretty similar. Of course, it has serrations for the forward assist. And it's cut back just a wee bit on the end to make it quote-unquote semi-auto. Okay. As far as the final piece here, our actual gas piston. Here's our HK. It's already pretty well exposed. You saw how it came out. Stay there. This is our T91. It comes out as a neat little packet, and to undo it, you just comes all apart, and we can further disassemble as needed from there. But I just like that it comes out without tools, and it's a handy dandy little assembly. And getting things back together here, I'll let you guess which one of them went together faster. The fun thing about the MR takedown pins, you have to use the same small tool to put them back in as well. So both directions it needs a tool. So we showed how they are pretty similar in the gas piston system, but you can get to the T91 system by just your hands. And it also comes out as a neat little packet. The MR, you need to use this big screw, slide this off, and then it comes off in a couple of pieces. Obviously the lower is a lot easier to get on and off with the T91 as well. So why do we prefer it aside from that? Now normally, you know, we're pretty big fans of HK. We like the MP5 a lot around here, and I like the G36, so it's not like we're bashing on HK. But the simple fact of the matter is, this gun here in practical terms does everything this gun does, but at such a lower price point. We found both Jay and I own a T91, and we both found them to be very reliable with both brass and steel case. This channel isn't really about accuracy, but these guns have proven military accurate enough. They're not inaccurate. There's not any huge reports of major issues. So we just don't feel like the HK really brings anything to the table that the T91 does not. They're both gas piston guns based on the AR15. This is a complete gun, of course, so that gives it a little edge. You know, you buy it from HK as a complete working gun, but the T91 is a complete working upper, including bolt carrier. So all you need to do is drop it on any standard AR lower, and you are good to go. One thing I find interesting, if you look here at the HK, it uses the A1 profile front pivot pin section, just like the T91, both on my gun and on the military guns. It doesn't really mean anything, I just find it kind of interesting. One thing that people complained about with the HK, and I never thought it was an issue, was the fact that our port door is polymer. It works very well and actually has some benefits. And of course on the T91 we have a typical metal port door. So there's that. You can get railed hand guards for these. They do make M-lock compatible and mag pull and so on and so forth if you want to go that direction. But these hand guards work very well. They have a heat shield. And we still have a pick rail over here. I go with the classic carry handle, but you can put whatever you like on. This is definitely more of a retro style gun, but hey, it's me. So I like retro. I also like that it's 2 pounds lighter. So anyway, that's a question that's been asked of us, and we thought we would shoot them both back to back. Honest to God, we enjoyed shooting the T91 more. They were both very effective with, we were today using M193 PPU, brass case, 55 grain. We've actually never shot steel out of an MR556, but I have no doubt it would eat steel. The T91 does. So that's just our humble opinion. Take it for what it's worth. We kind of have our own standards here, and your mileage may vary. I am not at all saying the HK is a bad gun. These are very smooth, very tight, very well made. I mean, it is German after all. But I just don't like that they departed from the HK 416 as much as they did with these. For example, the heavy barrel, even the M27 barrel, while it's heavy, isn't quite this heavy. Also, the takedown pins being this kind of tool required style. It's just a shame they didn't make this closer to the military gun. I think if they had, it would be something else. But here's the thing, you can find HK 416 uppers online. If you do, they're like 3,500 and up. So compare that to the T91 upper, which again is about 500, and both of them require a lower, and the value of this gun is even more apparent. I will end with saying, yes, the HK, being the 416 form, has seen military use. There's no arguing there. But the T91, especially this gas system, going back to the T86 and before, has seen use in the Taiwanese military dating back to the 70s. So both are tested and proven in combat, and I would honestly say the T91, its lineage, has even seen more testing and whatnot than the MR556 HK 416. I know that Chris Bartacci says the HK 416 is overgassed, and I've read that and heard that from several other people. And based on the heavier recoil impulse out of this gun today, firing the exact same ammo, and the fact that it is heavier, I would tend to think so. It does seem like the HK has more oomph, more gas flowing through the system, which might lead to better reliability, but at the same time you're having a higher wear on your parts. And if you're shooting hotter ammo, again, we were just shooting 55 grain, if you're shooting really hot ammo, who knows what kind of wear and tear you might be putting on the system, whereas the T91 feels a little more balanced. Well, if you have any questions or would like to share your own experiences with either of these guns, we'd love to hear them in the comments below, because there aren't that many folks out there talking about either of these, and they're both really neat guns. Gas piston guns have a lot of things to recommend them, no matter which one. If you liked the video, we'd appreciate a click. And if you'd like to help support us get to the range, we'd appreciate if you'd check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and we'll catch you next time.